Welcome back to Soul Book, where we transform life-changing wisdom into gentle healing for your soul. I'm here to help you discover the books and ideas that don't just educate your mind, but actually heal your heart and restore your inner peace. If you're someone who feels emotionally exhausted, overwhelmed by trying to be perfect, or struggling to connect authentically with others, this video will feel like a warm embrace for your weary soul. Today, we're exploring research that will finally give you permission to stop fighting so hard and start healing so deeply. So find a comfortable space, take a breath, and let's begin this journey together. What if the exhaustion you feel from trying to be perfect isn't your fault? What if the loneliness you experience, even when surrounded by people, isn't because you're broken? What if everything you've been taught about strength and weakness has been backwards this whole time? Today we're exploring Brené Brown's groundbreaking research that has brought healing to millions of souls just like yours. After studying over 1,280 people who struggled with the same feelings of not being enough, she discovered something profound that will change how you see yourself forever. But first, let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be seen without your mask of perfection? Asked for help when your soul was crying out for support? Expressed love without knowing if it would be returned? Shared your truth even when your voice was shaking? If those questions made your heart race a little, breathe deeply. You're not alone, and what you're about to learn will help you understand why vulnerability isn't your enemy. It's actually the path to the peace and connection your soul has been seeking. 1. The healing paradox. Dr. Brené Brown began her research journey with a broken heart, much like many of us do. As a researcher at the University of Houston, she was studying human connection because she herself felt disconnected, searching for what makes some souls feel deeply at peace, while others remain restless and lonely. Through thousands of gentle conversations with people who had found their way to wholehearted living, she discovered something beautiful. Those who felt most connected, most at peace, most authentic, they all shared one sacred quality. They had learned to embrace their imperfections with tender compassion. But here's where her research became revolutionary for healing souls like yours and mine. What we call vulnerability, that tender feeling of uncertainty, the soft risk of emotional exposure, wasn't something to overcome or hide from. Vulnerability was actually the gateway to everything our souls crave: love, belonging, joy, creativity, and deep inner peace. Let me share a story that illustrates this beautifully. Kevin Surace, a CEO who participated in Brown's research, shared that his company's greatest barrier to innovation wasn't lack of talent or resources. It was people's fear of being seen as imperfect when sharing new ideas. Think about how this mirrors your own life. How many times has your soul wanted to express something beautiful, creative, or authentic, but you held back because you feared judgment? How many connections have you missed because you were too afraid to be seen as you truly are? Brown's research shows this pattern everywhere. In families where love is conditional on perfection, in friendships where we wear masks, in our relationship with ourselves, where we're our harshest critic. We're asking our souls to be creative and joyful, while simultaneously punishing the vulnerability that makes those things possible. 2. The 3 wounds we carry. Brown discovered that most of us carry 3 deep wounds around vulnerability, misconceptions that keep our souls trapped in cycles of pain and disconnection. Understanding these wounds is the first step toward healing. Wound number 1: My tenderness makes me weak. Here's something that will gently shift how you see yourself. When Brown interviewed people we traditionally consider strongest, Navy SEALs, Olympic athletes, successful leaders, they all described vulnerability not as weakness, but as their greatest source of inner strength. One Navy SEAL shared with her, "You want to talk about vulnerability? Try running toward danger with no guarantee you'll return home to the people you love." But somewhere along the way, our tender hearts learned that showing uncertainty or needing others makes us weak. This belief wounds our souls because it forces us to hide the very qualities that make us beautifully human. True vulnerability isn't crying at inappropriate times or falling apart. It's having the courage to say, "I love you" first, to ask for help when you're struggling, to pursue your dreams even when success isn't guaranteed. These acts require tremendous strength and brave your soul. Wound number 2. I can protect myself from life's uncertainties. This wound runs deep in souls who've been hurt before. Brown puts it beautifully. You're either doing vulnerability consciously and with intention, or life is doing vulnerability to you. Sweet soul, life doesn't ask your permission to be uncertain. Loss, change, love, disappointment. These aren't things you can opt out of. The only choice you have is whether you meet life's uncertainties with an open heart or a closed one. Those who claim they don't do vulnerability often find their lives controlled by fear. They make decisions based on avoiding discomfort rather than moving toward what would truly nourish their souls. Wound number 3. Being open means having no boundaries. This misconception has harmed so many sensitive souls. Brown discovered that healthy vulnerability requires loving boundaries. Without them, what we call vulnerability often becomes emotional dumping that actually pushes people away. True soul-centered vulnerability might sound like, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and could use some support," or "I'm scared about this decision and would value your perspective." Wounded vulnerability sounds like spending 20 minutes detailing every problem in your life without considering if the listener has the capacity to hold that pain. The difference is intention and care, both for yourself and others. Healthy vulnerability serves connection and healing, not just the relief of unburdening yourself. 3. The protective shields our souls create. Now let's gently explore the ways our wounded souls try to protect themselves from vulnerability. Brown identified 3 primary shields we unconsciously carry, and recognizing them is essential for your healing journey. The perfectionism shield. This may be the heaviest burden your soul carries. Brown describes perfectionism as a 20-ton shield we drag around, thinking it will protect us, when it's actually preventing our souls from soaring. The perfectionist soul whispers, "If I can just be flawless enough, I can avoid criticism, rejection, and the pain of not being enough." But here's what Brown's research revealed about perfectionism. It's connected to depression, anxiety, addiction, and eating disorders. It's not self-improvement. It's self-harm disguised as self-care. The healing path involves what Brown calls healthy striving. Instead of asking, "What will people think of me?" your healed soul learns to ask, "How do I want to show up authentically in this moment?" The numbing strategy. When vulnerability feels too overwhelming, our souls seek numbness. This might look like endless scrolling, overworking, shopping, drinking, or staying perpetually busy. These aren't moral failures. They're your soul's attempt to find relief from difficult emotions. But Brown discovered something crucial about numbing. You cannot selectively numb emotions. When you numb fear and sadness, you also numb joy and love. When you numb disappointment, you also numb excitement and hope. Healing means learning to sit gently with discomfort, instead of immediately reaching for something to make it disappear. Your soul grows stronger through conscious presence with difficult feelings, not through avoiding them. The fear of joy. This protective pattern breaks my heart because it shows how our souls can become afraid of their own happiness. Brown calls it foreboding joy, the habit of imagining disaster whenever good things happen. You receive a compliment and immediately think, they're just being nice. Your relationship is going well, and you start scanning for signs it will end. Your child has a wonderful day, and you brace for tomorrow's struggles. This happens because joy makes us vulnerable. When we have something beautiful, we risk losing it. But Brown's research shows that practicing gratitude, really allowing yourself to receive and savor good moments, is how your soul learns to trust that it's worthy of happiness. 4. Healing through authentic connection. Now, if you're worried that embracing vulnerability means becoming emotionally fragile, let me share what Brown discovered about the profound strength that comes from authentic openness. Google spent years researching what makes teams thrive, and they found one factor above all others: psychological safety. The feeling that you can be authentic without fear of judgment or retaliation. And what creates this healing environment? Leaders and community members who model vulnerable authenticity. Traditional approaches to strength say, I have everything under control. I don't need help. Showing emotion is unprofessional. But Brown's research reveals that the most healing and effective leaders offer their souls differently. I don't have all the answers, but I'm committed to figuring this out together. I made a mistake, and here's what I'm learning from it. This situation feels scary and uncertain, and we're going to navigate it with courage and compassion. One leader Brown interviewed shared that his organization transformed when he stood before his team and said, I'm scared about meeting our goals this quarter. I don't know exactly how we'll succeed, but I believe in us and I need your help. Instead of losing respect, his vulnerability created space for everyone else to be authentic too. Innovation flourished, problem-solving improved. Why? Because he gave everyone permission to be beautifully, imperfectly human. 5. Your gentle path to wholehearted living. Beautiful soul, you don't have to transform overnight. Brown's research gives us a tender, practical path for healing that honors where you are right now. Begin with small acts of courage. Start where you feel safest. Don't begin by sharing your deepest fears with everyone. That's not healing. That's overwhelming your nervous system. Gentle examples for your journey. Ask for help with something small when you usually handle everything alone. Share a minor mistake before anyone discovers it. Offer genuine appreciation when your heart feels moved to do so. Express a need or preference instead of always saying, I don't mind. Practice soul resilience. Brown identified 4 steps for healing shame and building resilience. Notice when shame arises in your body, that hot, shrinking feeling that says, I'm not enough. Question the critical voice. Where did these harsh messages come from? Are they actually true? Reach out to someone who sees your worth. You don't have to carry pain alone. Speak it gently. Naming shame reduces its power over your precious soul. Honor your boundaries. Remember, sweet one, vulnerability without boundaries isn't healing. It often leads to more wounding. Before sharing something tender, pause and ask your wise heart, why am I sharing this right now? What kind of response would feel nourishing? Is this person safe to hold what I'm offering? Will this serve my healing and authentic connection?
Conclusion.
Embracing your worthy, imperfect soul. Here's what Brené Brown's decades of research ultimately reveals. To souls like yours and mine, vulnerability is not about winning or losing. It's about having the courage to show up and be seen when you cannot control the outcome. Every single day, your soul has opportunities to practice this gentle courage, to choose authenticity over approval, to choose connection over perfection, to choose love over fear. So here's my invitation for your healing journey this week. Choose one small, tender act of vulnerability each day, not because it's comfortable, but because your soul deserves the deep connection and peace that comes from daring to be authentically you. Maybe it's asking for a hug when you need comfort. Maybe it's sharing something you created without knowing if others will appreciate it. Maybe it's simply saying, "I'm having a hard day," instead of pretending everything is fine. Because the world doesn't need another perfect person hiding behind masks. The world needs more souls brave enough to be beautifully, imperfectly real. Your tender heart, your gentle spirit, your vulnerable soul. These aren't weaknesses to overcome. They're your greatest gifts to offer this sometimes harsh world. What's your one gentle act of courage going to be today? Hold that intention close to your heart, and remember, you are worthy of love and belonging exactly as you are. Sweet dreams, and until our souls meet again through these videos, be gentle with yourself.